Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Daphne Lage here. Join Nita Lanning and me on the Ragin' 2 The Vlogs show, where we talk about everything, nothing, and all the bits in between. Looking for hour-long conversations about indie comics, social media marketing, and crowdfunding, with the occasional rant and story time? Head on over to the Ragin' 2 channel on YouTube, Mondays through Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern to join in the chat.
Hit the button.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, Chief Envelope Licker for Critical Blast Logistics, myopic proofreader for Critical Blast Publishing, and I answer the phones and do some IT work for Critical Blast Consulting. That's a lot of stuff, I know. But, there's 24 hours in a day. I still have 2 left. Let's open another company. Come on. Tonight, we are going to look at a unique crowdfunded comic. It is going to be one of those anthropomorphic things. So if you like the funny animals, that's fine. It's also going to be a very crime noir thing. So if you like real crime drama, you're both in the right place. So let's get to it tonight and talk with creator Brett Giuliano about Dust Bunny Mafia. Brett, welcome to the show, sir. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you did not tell me when you came on that you are a connoisseur and collector of hats.
Yeah, that's you kind of got that impression.
It's a real hat tree because they're growing on it.
It is, and that's just my winter / cold weather hat collection. I've got the summer straws and some of the lighter weight ones in a nice hat box until it gets a little warmer.
I've always wanted to get a nice fedora, but anytime I ever put a hat on this Charlie Brown sized head of mine, it looks weird because there's still so much head sticking out of it that no matter what I put on, I've got this big cowboy hat back here, and even that just looks, people give me odd looks like, really? You're going with that?
Well, I will say the company that I actually get most of my fedoras from, called Gorin Brothers. They have a great website that actually goes into detail about finding the right hat for your face shape. And I know I've recommended lots of people with different size heads, different shapes and they have hat stores all across the US. There may be something near you. But yeah, I'd say check them out and at least look at their guides because they can find hats for all sorts of people.
I'll do that. And folks at Gorin Hat Company, I just linked you in the chat over there. So, if people are hearing about hats and they want to investigate it, check it out, guys. Click on the link and tell them RJ at Critical Blast sent you so that maybe they'll say, hey, would you like to, review a sample of our hats? And I'll go into my old Abbott and Costello routine. Susquehanna Hat Company. No, that was. Yeah, that was Abbott and Costello. Three Stooges had Niagara Falls. They were both the same routine. So this is put me straight with this. Did I describe this right? Anthropomorphic and yet real life crime?
Yes. So the Dust Bunny Mafia itself is still anthropomorphic, and it's a newspaper style comic that's like Looney Tunes meets The Godfather is my best way of presenting it. And then with this Kickstarter for my based on a true story, it's my series of noir comics where I take real life mobster stories, adapt them, put my own spin on it, and give some history about what really happened.
Now, I could see doing that with a comic book, but are your strips, the daily strips, are they like a continuing story just told in strip form, or?
Yeah, when I'm not doing my based on a true story, I've been doing the comic for about 10 years now. And in that time, I went through periods where I was doing, like a daily strip, like Garfield, like, Adventures of Spider-Man, things like that, where it was more of a continual story that's happening. And then I would just do it in these 3-panel, 6-panel, strips. But then with the based on a true story, these are more anthology like, where it's, a snapshot of something from Bugsy Siegel, a story from Al Capone, and things like that. So each page of the booklet is its own strip, its own story, its own like snapshot in time per se. And then, after that, it moves on to the next one. But it's not exactly, it doesn't follow the characters from page to page in these booklets.
Okay. So the based on a true story is the name of the anthology, but all the strips are also based on true story.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm up to speed now. It's an interesting way of presenting the stories. What drove you to try it in this format using these kind of characters?
Well, I've always had an interest in crime, the criminal mind, that kind of thing. And when I was first doing my chapters of the Dust Bunny Mafia comic, I was commuting by train, and I was commuting from LA suburbs into LA proper, and I had a 40 to 45 minute commute every day where I had time to just do whatever. And I didn't have to focus on driving. Once I got on the train, I had that time. And so I was making these strips, but then at some points, I'm on a busy commuter train. There's not always time where I can grab a seat and pull out my laptop and illustrate stuff. So I'd have to find alternative, things to do to keep me occupied. So standing room only, things like that. So I'd grab a book, and I had this interest in true crime. And when I was living in LA, I picked up this book called The Five Families, which is like the Mafia Bible per se, about true crime. And it's details basically from the late 1800s into the practically 2000s of crime in New York in organized crime. And I was like, some of these things were just really fascinating. Little snippets here and there that I'm like, oh, I can work this into a story. I can work these different things. And then it just kind of spun out from there. But that was the seeds of it.
So using the funny animals, are they funny stories? Are you finding humor in the real life story, or are you taking the real life story and sort of adding your own humor to it to satirize the events?
A little bit of both. Hey, Wayne.
And I think you talked about the Five Families there.
Yep. I mean, I would like to say that's a ringing endorsement for me because he's seen my stuff, but well,
let's go with that then. Yes.
But yeah, so it's a little bit of both. In the first book and the first volume of Based on a True Story, I made a joke about the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa, and at that point, I made the joke that he insulted somebody's one of the mobsters' mother's cooking, and that's what got him killed. And so, like, I took something that was real and added my own flair to it, put my own spin creatively with it, but then also, in the details of it, I'd say, in 1975, Jimmy Hoffa was last seen at the Marcus Red Fox in Detroit, blah, 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 blah. And so But then at other times, I'll just take something and go completely off the wall with it. So
now it's called the Dust Bunny Mafia, and I'm looking at a
Yes.
bunch of birds. So where did the name come in from here? Because dust bunnies aren't animals; they're these things you sweep up or sweep.
They
under rug.
are, but it was actually shortly before I had talked about commuting on a train. I was living in LA when I was commuting by car. I was on my way home from work one Friday evening. I was sitting in traffic because LA traffic is horrible. And I had about 2 hours to kill just sitting, doing nothing, pre iPhone and all that kind of stuff. And I saw DBM on a license plate. And I have nowhere to go, nothing to do. Oh, what does DBM stand for? Dust Bunny Mafia. And I'm like, quick, where's the scratch of paper? Where's something? So I find a pen and I scribble that down. And by the time I had gotten home, I had envisioned the first 6 dust bunnies and I just knew, okay, this is going to be my shot into comics, at least my start.
I have played that same license plate game since I was a kid, and frequently start to say things where the parents were trying to say no, but hey, BMF. What else could it stand for?
So yeah, that's how it originated. And then when I picked up that 5 Families book, I kind of got that idea that it's like, if I really want to do this well, I need, some exterior conflict. So I need other mafia families. So I was thinking dust bunnies, and, I'm going to make them look like bunnies, but at the same time, they're not quite, because they're not going to have arms. They're not going to have mouths because they're little clumps of dust and dirt and stuff. So then I thought miniature. I went and scaled everything down. And so for the most part, a lot of the stuff in my comics is all miniature. So, I mean, in that, in the panel that you're showing, I've got a seagull and I've got a badger, but those still aren't giant creatures. I do have a spin-off in which I take real life mobsters who had animal nicknames and reimagine them as animal counterparts. So I will take bigger animals in that, but they generally don't actually appear in my comics. But at that point, I was like, I need conflict. I need other mobster families. What would be a good warring animal for dust bunnies? And I found rats. And so one family is rats and rodents per se. I've got crows and small birds as another one. I've got insects. So those kind of make up 4 of the main 5 mafia families in my universe.
So the stories that you're pulling inspiration from, these would be older stories, right? I mean, this is not something where you're gonna put this next story out here and then there's gonna be a knock on the door. Nice comic you got here. Shame if something would happen to it.
Well, I've had some. I've pulled from some recent stuff, but thankfully, I've never the people that I'm satirizing with these kind of things, for the most part, where I'm getting my information from is from other people in law enforcement or true crime historians and other speakers and authors of that nature. So yeah, for the most part, I wouldn't say it's super current stuff, but I'll go back 5-10 years sometimes. So
plus you're not putting anything out there that'd be like hey, only a couple of guys knew about this kind of thing. Who's your stool pigeon? Wow, I hope there is a pigeon in this comic that just goes between the families and tells stories.
There is a pigeon, but he's not in that role. Okay. I mean, there is actually, I do have a rat character who's not a physical rat. He's a dust bunny, but he has been handed off between family to family, and each one of them wants to kill him, and yet he was in the very first Dust Bunny comic, and he's probably going to outlive them all.
So, what is the age range for your readership then with this? Because it seems like it's an all ages thing, but I'm guessing you have to kind of tame down the bloodletting to a limit of some other kind of violence.
Yeah, it is how you guessed. It is all ages. So I designed it like the old Looney Tunes model. So I wanted something to appeal to both kids and adults. And I've had friends of mine who are parents give it to their kids. That one of my best friends, his kids are all under the age of 10, and the 3 older ones basically have fought over my books so much that they're starting to, he's talking about replacing them because it's only been a couple of years, but yet the 3 of them fight over it. So yeah, I do stuff that I want to make sure kids can read, but at the same time, I also, want stuff for adults and teenagers. So,
So the campaign here, I'm seeing the based on a true story volume 4, but this campaign is actually it's 1 through 4. So 4 is the newest one, but you can get 1 through 3 as catch-up sort of tiers, I guess.
Yep. So I have both digital and print editions of volumes 1 through 3. So yeah, there is a made member tier that is, I believe I've got it at $40 right now, and it's it's the physical copies of Based on a True Story 1 through 4, and you also get a campaign exclusive poker chip. That's something that I do with each of my campaigns, is I create a fun little poker chip because mobsters and poker just kind of went hand in hand, and I was like, this was a fun way to incorporate something like that. But I also have digital.
So how big are these books? Are they all like 32 page?
Yeah, so the first volume is 32 pages, and it's the zine style, so it's like a half-page booklet size. And volume 1 is 32 pages, and volumes 2 through 4 are 40 pages.
Okay, and just to bring the picture up here, these are saddle stitched on the short end, so they're sort of a landscape layout, much more like the newspaper strips would be. When we talk about newspaper strips, do you do a daily release anywhere of the strips, or do you just do them for the collected books?
So I don't follow the daily format anymore, but I do have it all on my website. So comics.dustbunnymafia.com or dustbunnymafia.com is where you can find the most recent strip, and you can also find the archive of past comics. So that's where I always publish there first, and then I'll push it out on social media channels, etc. But then once I get a sizable collection, I will start stitching it together into something bigger, whether it's these kind of booklets or more like a trade paperback I've done in the past.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question now, is if you've got four of the booklets, then is it getting close to time to put out a collected trade paperback of the series?
It is. So yeah, right now it was my debate whether I wanted to make this one into, once I had my 3rd volume, I was like, do I want to do a 4th one, or do I want to just collect those 3 into a trade? And I realized that with my schedule, I'm a one-man show here. So being both the illustrator, researcher, writer, designer, my ambition sometimes exceeds my capacity. So I had plans to put out my third volume of just a regular Dust Bunny Mafia collection, my third trade this year. And so I was like, I don't know that I want to bring two big 100+ page books to print in the same year without stealing light from each other. So that was my reason to go with the fourth volume, have more time to put out a good third volume of a trade, and then next year probably compile it. These ones.
Okay, so you have done Dust Bunny Mafia strips in other books. The Based on a True Story is sort of like a subset of those where you are telling a true story for it. Let me give you the big screen here if I can find where my mouse went.
Yeah, so in October of 2016, I compiled the first basically 3 years of Dust Bunny strips into Meet the Family. And so I took the Garfield, Calvin and Hobbes style collections and basically kind of did that, where I compiled several years of comics into a nice full color 132 page collection, in which I throw in a bunch of extras. I do some full page illustrations. I will, in this one, I did a couple of fake advertisements and different things. And I also had some cool guest strips and pinups that were done from some other indie friends of mine. And then each book like this, I will do a book exclusive chapter. So I did a little 12 strip mini story for Meet the Family. In 2020, I came out with The Blind Tiger, which is a Prohibition style main chapter and themed book that had a 30 strip exclusive chapter. And then this year, I'm planning on releasing It's Business, Not Personal, which is my third collection, and it has a very ambitious book exclusive chapter that I'm only just starting on.
That's a very a neat hook to get people to go for the books. You know, they're like, well, I've read all the strips, and I can always just go, you can't read this one anywhere else. It's only in the book.
Yep. And that's also why I like doing these big full page illustrations and other things. So I'll put, like essentially my movie posters of each chapter and different things like that. So even though you can read 95% of the, content for free online, you're not going to get these big full page illustrations. You're not going to get some of the tie-ins or the guest art and things like that.
So when you say movie posters, are you like taking your Dust Bunny Mafia characters and recreating movie posters like Goodfellas and The Godfather?
I've done a couple of those. I actually just picked up a commission from a good friend of mine over the weekend, in which I had, in which I commissioned a Goodfellas parody featuring 3 of my Dust Bunnies.
Very cool.
This is my friend Jason Essex. He has a really cool, creepy horror, style, and I was like, this would be perfect to do Goodfellas with my Dust Bunnies. So there are times like that where I will commission other people, and then other times, I'm just making my own, whether it's an actual parody or, doing my own covers per se between chapters.
So you got some exclusives on this campaign for people that can add things on. You're going to have the poker chip you've already mentioned, the Mobimal commissions, Mobimal, a mob animal. Is that the overall catch-all name for the Dust Bunny Mafia characters, or
yeah?
Is that a different
so that's kind of the spin-off that I mentioned earlier about the bigger animals and how they tie in. So like when I started doing the Based on a True Story, before I actually got into the kick of pulling out these stories and putting them into their own collection, I had just recently moved to Chicago, and I dug really deep into the neighborhood I was living, and a lot of the area that I live in, Al Capone is buried 20 minutes away, and different things like that. Oak Park is known as one of the Chicago mob boss kind of headquarters for where they lived, because it was outside the city limits of Chicago. And so, hey, Pops. And so I dug deep into that, and I was like, I'm already doing a mobster themed comic. And I was reading and doing all this historical research, and I found there were a lot of interesting mobsters who had animal nicknames. And I'm like, wouldn't it be fun to spin it into me illustrating what these people's animal counterparts would be? And so that's kind of my extension of the Dust Bunny Mafia into the Mobimals, where I'll take real life mobsters who had those nicknames, reimagine them, and then I also will continue giving details and historical information about these mobsters and things like that. So the commission is basically someone picks an animal, and I will create a mobster version of that animal.
Oh, okay. So I would, if I were to take that tier, I would say, tiger, and you'd build the mobster tiger out of it.
Yep.
And he got Pop says he got some awesome art from Brett the other day. He got the loan shark.
Yes, he did. I sent that I was featured on Pop's show a couple weeks ago, and with everything he does in the community, I wanted to give him, some special stuff back. So I packed up a nice little package and
Pops doesn't
some original art and stuff.
Pops is going 24/7 promoting people. I only do it an hour a night every night, so I've got to do other things. You got some signed prints. You got the exclusive T-shirt, and we're going to come down here and take a look at this stuff. Oh, look at stretch goals. We'll go through them first. And a lot of these are unlocked. You've done pretty well with this campaign so far. In fact, I had it opened prior to the show just to have it ready to share, and I saw the number scrolling. I'm like, people are backing all day long. But you're going to have the wait a second, BTS bookmark
based on a true story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sitting thinking, no, it's not BTK. That's it's a totally different villain who probably doesn't fit into the Mafia anywhere. Although if somebody wants to do some, anthropomorphic serial killer collection stories, I'm sure there's a market for that somewhere. There's a readership.
There is, and I would be happy to collaborate, or we could work something out.
The writer in me now says we'll talk. You're going to add an additional 8 pages to the book already now, because that got unlocked, and people are going to get a die-cut vinyl sticker of this guy, Sticky Fingers Malone, or who's the frog character here?
So the frog character is a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now, I did a show in Northwest Indiana called NWI, Northwest Indiana Comic-Con. And it was my first time being behind the booth there. And I thought, let's make something special. So I did research, and there was a Northwest Indiana mobster that was nicknamed the Frog. And so I decided to do what I do, and I made him into a animal mobster. He was known in the area. He wasn't really a mobster by trade. He just was a guy who liked to buy a lot of drinks for people and bet on the wrong horses. And he got extorted, and then ended up kind of being sloppy and not being able to pay everything, and ended up working as a collector for other people who got into that situation. And so that's why behind him there's a couple of beer bottles and some cash. And so that was the inspiration. And Mr. Frog actually shows up in a strip, and it talks about that in volume 4. So I thought it'd be fitting to incorporate him into the book as well, or into an extra.
He's apparently shown up on the Crom Collage as well.
He is. Pops asked her once I was telling the story about him and his relation to the area. Pops was like, "I want that frog." I'm like, "Okay, you can work it in."
2050, that's opened as well. You're going to get a sneak peek with this campaign of It's Business, Not Personal.
Yep. So that's
famous phrase that we keep hearing.
Yep. So that will be the third trade collection that I'm working on this year. So everyone that backs the campaign will get a 20 to 30 page preview of what's to come.
All right. And at 2,200, which $48 away, folks, $48 away from unlocking that final stretch goal, or at least the last stretch goal that you've thought of. You might have to think more if you break it early. A Kenny the Crypt plush pre-order. Now, which character is Kenny the Crypt? Because I'm not familiar with them all.
So Kenny the Crypt is one of my dust bunnies, and he's the hacker, because in my comic, I kind of meld the old historical look as well with the new. So I kind of do a, I mash. So like they drive all these old Cadillacs and Packards and the old, like, think Cuba kind of aspect where they have these old American cars, but they also have new stuff. And so they walk around with iPhones, and there's computers, and they can hack different networks and, that kind of stuff. So I meld the two. And so Kenny is my hacking dust bunny that I am working with a plush artist to create a small character. And if we unlock that, it's going to be a Kickstarter exclusive pre-order. So as I'm only opening up about 5 or 6 of them right now for this order, and you have to be a backer of the campaign in order to place an order.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the technology aspect of it, because, hey, the mob's going to be the first people to take advantage of any new technology that's out there that can help them in their business. I think one of the things that stood out to me, because I'm an IT guy, 35 years in database analysis and such, and when I was doing a binge on The Wire about 5 years ago, this was I guess a few years after it had come out, but I'd gotten the entire DVD set for review. And I remember that first season closed up, and they had been, tapping all these cell phones and, listening to conversations. And that first season closed up with like all this static and crap coming across the phone, and like, what's this? What are we listening to here? And it was the advent of the texting of images and texting itself across phones. It was just a whole new technological problem for the police, but a brand new technological avenue for, crime networks to start taking advantage of for their business. So, they would have hackers and smartphone usage and all that good stuff. So,
yeah, I actually did a story in my first volume based on a true story, in which in Italy in about, I want to say 2008, 2010, there was a jailed mafia boss who got access, in the communal rooms to watch TV. And so he was watching like some sports show, and different people from his organization were sending text messages to appear on the show in the news ticker. And they were actually sending encrypted messages to the jail boss. And then he was able to use those messages from certain usernames, and he knew what to look for. And then he would consult with his lawyer and basically continue to run some of his organization behind bars.
That's genius. He couldn't have his own phone, but just throw it up on the screen. Now this is gone. This makes me sad. I'm glad for you, but it's sad that I can't get in on this now. The die cut sticker of your Dust Bunny for the first 20 backers, that's all gone. But it looks like we have another one available still here. It looks like almost like a secret squirrel kind of character.
Yep, that's my flying squirrel con artist. Yep, there are still a few of those available.
Yep. You want to buy a watch? Sure, yeah. And then the T-shirt that will not be available for sale after the campaign ends. I just had this conversation this afternoon about campaign exclusives that you can then find after the campaign on eBay pages and such. This one's just here. You're printing just to order.
Yep.
I'm guessing. So this is Honor Among Thieves. This is one of the rats behind the no sign. So it's, no rats.
Yep.
And,
so for that one, I was inspired by the Ghostbusters iconic logo. And the biggest thing that motivates mobsters to turn into rats is either time off of a prison sentence or a lighter sentencing, or cash. And so in his grubby little hand on the side, he's got a fistful of dollars. And, just the irony of, it's this secret society, and yet the main reason we know so much about it is because people opened up and talked.
Well, I talked with Wayne Klingman when he was on the show with his book. So I'm always reminded of the All in the Family episode where, Archie Bunker gets a visit from a concerned citizen that says, this organization is a defunct. It doesn't exist. But yeah, it does. It very much does. I don't see the Dust Bunny Mafia logo on here, though. Is that on the back, or do you?
Yeah, I put it on the back. Basically, it's not the hang tag, but it's on the back of the neck.
Okay, cool. Because you got to get the word out for what the rat's all about. This is nice. You got some testimonials. Couldn't come up with the word there. From various different people. So
yep. So the big fancy one up top is from some of the organized crime historians and podcast hosts and things like that. So just kind of a testimony to my collaboration with the true crime community. The one underneath it is from some comic artists and different things like that. And then I've got some Amazon reviews and other testimonials from
these are the most important ones, because these are readers, these are buyers. They put money into it. So yeah, this is very cool. You've been at this for a while now. This is not your first crowdfunding here by a long shot, right? I mean, it's not even your fourth one, even though this is fourth book.
I believe this is my eighth, seventh or eighth campaign. I've lost track.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So been at it for a while. Wow. You even include the chart of the cost. This you're supposed to hide this stuff. This is you don't reveal the books, man.
That it's rough estimates. There's no numbers. Not really.
They're percentages. Yeah. Okay. So, and like all good monsters, there's a second set of percentages that don't get shown.
Now you're letting out my secrets.
Yes, of course. The Wise Guy level right here. I haven't scrolled through here much more, but you can get a sketch commission of a Dust Bunny character. I hate Kickstarter. I want to mouse on what I'm reading, and every time I do, Kickstarter says, "No, you can't read it now." Yeah. Of course, you get based on a true story. Number 4, Underboss. You get a digital commission, as well as a signed 8x10. Okay, a digital. Okay, so if I'm understanding this correctly, you're going to draw it digitally. Here it is, but then you're going to print it and sign it and send that as well. So they get the digital version and they get the print version. Okay, got it. As well as the digital and physical volume 4, the campaign poker chip, and I haven't mentioned this on any of the physical levels yet, and I should, free U.S. shipping. So the price you see is the price you pay if you're within the continental United States or its territories. I do believe the post office, is flat rate on everywhere it goes. That
Yep, I've shipped
where
something
the flag
to
flies.
Hawaii a couple campaigns ago, and it was pretty much the same as if I shipped it to California.
Yes. Now, at the boss level, you get to make a cameo appearance in the book. And I saw this on this list earlier, and I'm curious how you pull that off. Because, if I want to be a cameo in one of the books here, I don't, look that much like an animal. And speaking of Mafia, the Russian Mafia loves to jump in on our chat and throw links out that you should not click on and cannot click on. So I don't know why they waste their time. Das Vidanya and Dovikovia sent him on his merry way.
Yes.
So again, the commission, the cameo appearance. How does that work out?
So it's a mobbable commission. So I will take a character and create a mobster animal for somebody, and then that character will appear in a future strip. And so it's
so
actually
this is sort of an offshoot of the other
yes
drawing when you do a mobbable drawing.
So the first one, the mobbable drawing, I do a full scene behind the character, and I'll work with the individual for what kind of aspects do you want? Do you want them to be a jewel thief? Do you want them to be a hitman? That kind of stuff. And then I'll create kind of a scene for them, and I'll work back and forth, incorporate everything. And then as we start playing around with it, I'll try and find a way that I can incorporate them into a future comic. And I've done this a dozen times over the years since I've been doing Kickstarters, and everything from doing a very meticulous sloth character who was doing a chess game with the Dust Bunny Mafia to incorporating an armadillo into a spa that was referenced to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and the hot springs. So,
yeah, I'm not far from there. I'm in Holiday Island, Arkansas, right now. So, yeah, and I've heard of the Memphis Mafia. We didn't arrest them. Yeah, we voted them into office. We didn't arrest them.
I can't speak much for Illinois, so.
Oh well, yeah. This was obviously all Arkansas. Illinois. My wife would tell stories frequently about her very much older parents, because they were just a lot older than when she was born. Her father and her aunt would often play with little Al growing up in the in the south side of Chicago. So they knew they were there on the scene. This is all gone. We can't talk about these. They're all gone. You've missed out on these limited pledges here. This was a boss of bosses for $150. What did this guy get? He got he's going to get that DBM cameo. He's going to get a lot of stuff. Why was there only one of these?
So that one, when I talked about the campaign poker chip earlier, on one side of this campaign poker chip, so it's two-sided, that has two different pieces of art on it. And on one side, it has the Honor Among Thieves rat image. And on the other side, it's going to have a mobbable commission. So everyone who orders a physical copy from this campaign is going to get that campaign poker chip. And it's actually going to have that commission character on one side of it.
I got it. So that's why there was only one, because you only have one other side to the chip.
Yep.
That's very cool. All right, so let's scroll up here and see where we're at on the campaign. We're at 2152. Of course, it's Kickstarter. It's been moving along the whole time, hopefully, while I've been talking here. And I did not keep track of what it was at when we started. So I don't know if we have helped you out or not, Brett.
Just being on here and getting to talk about this kind of stuff, so it's not just in my head, is a great thing.
Well, we love talking with people about their projects, but we like to see that they get some sales out of it at the same time. And folks, by the way, if you are watching this on the replay, the link to Brett's Kickstarter is right below the video, very first line in the description. You don't even have to click the read more expand button. It's right there. Just click on it. Of course, it's also, well, it should be pinned to the top of the chat. I can't remember if I did that now or not. Usually I do. I think maybe I might have missed it this time. Nobody's complaining. They can all see it below. What is the release date on this?
It'll be released in May. So the book is, I've got all the strips done and I've done all the write-ups for the strips. Now it's just a matter of compiling them into my template for the book and sending it off to the printer. So the nice thing is I generally have a book or any project 90 to 95% complete before I even launch the Kickstarter, so that I can be quick with my fulfillment. And so
that's a lot easier to do when you're the artist as well as the writer. Not so easy if you're just the writer and you're paying an artist, because then you got to come up with the money.
Yep. So yeah, I've got all the elements in place. I just need to compile it, talk with a couple people about some commissions and things that will appear in the book, and then, send the money out to the respective places and wait for them to come in.
Sounds excellent. Sounds like an offer we can't refuse. So folks, click the link, throw money at this. This is different. This is not your muscle-bound heroes throwing planets at each other. It's not your big-tittied heroines with monokinis on. This is going to require some reading, and you're going to think different things. You're going to learn some stuff if you're lucky before you're done, and have some laughs. So Brett, thank you so much for bringing the Dust Bunny Mafia to us tonight. And we hope we'll see you again with the next volume as well. And there's 38 hours to go in this, so I probably won't see you again before the end of this campaign. But definitely with the next campaign, we hope we see you earlier in the issuance of it, and then you can come back near the end of it, and we'll see you twice on the same one.
That'd be great. Thanks for having me on.
Is there anything about the Dust Bunny Mafia that we didn't get to talk about that you want to make sure that people know about? And by the way, I love these seagulls here. They kind of remind me of the Madagascar penguins in some aspects.
There was some inspiration there. I will say that. Other than, if people can't catch it on Kickstarter, if they're watching the replay, or, they just don't get to it in time, I have a store on my website, on my main comics.dustbunnymafia.com. I also have a mailing list, and it's called Join the Family, in which you can get the digital version of Based on True Story Volume 1 emailed to you if you sign up for that. And then if you order through my online store, where I've got the True Story volumes, I've got my trades and things like that, as well as some t-shirts, I will sketch in the books. So if you order Meet the Family or The Blind Tiger, either of those, I'll do an extra special sketch in the book and personalize it.
Very, very nice. All right. Brett, thank you again for bringing the Dust Bunny Mafia here tonight. Folks in the chat, thank you so much for being here and listening to us, and hopefully clicking the links and getting out there and backing this project. We don't have a show if you're not here to watch us, so we're very grateful that you show up. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night, everybody.